Two U.S. Navy ships have begun passage through the Taiwan Strait, the first time such maneuvers have been conducted since House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's controversial visit to Taipei. According to these data, the destroyers Antietam and Chancellorsville are taking part in the maneuver. It operates in international waters. Earlier, the coordinator for the regions of the Indian and Pacific Oceans at the White House National Security Council, Kurt Campbell, at a briefing on the situation around Taiwan, said that the United States would continue to operate in the air and sea space, where international law allows. According to him, this includes conducting standard ship passages through the Taiwan Strait. The Chinese armed forces are on alert. This happened after the passage of two U.S. warships through the Taiwan Strait. According to media reports, this statement was made by a representative of the Eastern Zone Combat Command of the People's Liberation Army of China. The Eastern Zone of the PLA Combat Command has escorted American cruisers and exercised full control over their activities. The command units are on high alert in order to stop any provocations in a timely manner, he said. It is worth noting that the two U.S. Navy ships Antietam and Chancellorsville began passage through the Taiwan Strait. Such maneuvers are being carried out for the first time since House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's controversial visit to Taipei. Recall that Nancy Pelosi arrived in Taiwan on July 2 despite threats from China. Before that, Beijing threatened decisive measures in the event of a visit by an American delegation. China has also begun military exercises around Taiwan using modern weapons such as DF-17 hypersonic missiles and J-20 stealth fighters. Meanwhile, Beijing has begun ignoring calls from the Pentagon, and Taiwan has called China's military exercises a rehearsal for an attack. Poland and South Korea signed a contract for the supply of tanks and artillery against the backdrop of Russia's war against Ukraine. This is stated in the Bloomberg material. Hyundai Rotem Co. and Hanwha Defense Systems Corp. signed an agreement worth $5.76 billion for the supply of K2 tanks and K9 howitzers. The agreement is part of a comprehensive arms package signed between the countries earlier, under which South Korea will also supply F-A-50 fighter jets. According to the statement, the Korea Aerospace aircraft supply agreement is expected to be signed around September. Under a deal reached in July, South Korea will supply 180 tanks and 48 fighter jets. As UNIAN wrote, on Saturday, August 27, Poland and the Czech Republic signed an agreement with Slovakia, according to which they will close the skies over the country after the decommissioning of Slovak MiG-29 fighters. European Union foreign ministers are preparing to support the suspension of the visa facilitation agreement with Russia during an informal meeting next week in Prague, which will limit the ability for Russians to travel to EU countries. It is unacceptable for Russian tourists to walk around our cities and embankments. We must send a signal to the Russian people that this war is not normal, it is unacceptable, the FT quoted a senior EU official as saying. Another source of the publication notes that Brussels is striving not to stop at restricting visa facilitation, and may take additional measures in this direction before the end of the year. The visa facilitation agreement was adopted by the European Union and Russia in 2007. Immediately after the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, part of it was suspended in relation to officials, diplomats and businessmen. Some countries, such as the Czech Republic and Poland, have independently stopped issuing visas to Russians in response to Russian aggression. In recent weeks, the EU has been debating whether such a decision should be made at the bloc level. The Baltic states, Poland and Finland are actively in favor of a complete cessation of issuing visas to Russian citizens in the EU. Germany, tourism-dependent countries of southern Europe and top EU diplomat Josep Borrell opposed such a move. Earlier it became known that it was the Czech Republic that put forward the proposal to suspend the visa agreement with the Russian Federation as a compromise option. This step involves an increase in the visa fee from 35 to 80 euros, as well as an increase in the processing time of visa applications and the number of required documents. An informal meeting of EU foreign ministers will be held in Prague on August 30 to 31. With each passing day of the confrontation between Ukraine and Russia, the role of Kyiv is growing, and the Kremlin is losing its strength. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson wrote about this in a column for the Mail on Saturday, August 27. He also emphasized that the war in Ukraine was a shock for Europe. What no one expected was Vladimir Putin's decision, and it was only his decision, to launch a vicious and senseless attack on an innocent European country on February 24, the Prime Minister writes. At the same time, the Prime Minister noted that Russia's invasion of Ukraine had a significant impact on the British. He noted that it was because of Putin that the prices of products and energy resources increased in Britain. It was the war unleashed by Russia that led to the fact that the electricity bill for the British is doubling, and this was one of Putin's goals, Johnson emphasized. Putin believes that soft European politicians will not have the courage to stand up to him, and that this winter the West will lift sanctions and start begging Russian oil and gas and pushing the Ukrainians to make a deal with the Kremlin, no matter how sickening it is. But it is quite obvious that it won't happen, Johnson believes. Johnson noted that the West must be stable, otherwise Putin will choose a new target. We must continue to support the Ukrainians, and their military successes are still excellent. Volodymyr Zelensky has shown that his country is fundamentally invincible, the Prime Minister said. It will be recalled that French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson had a telephone conversation during which they confirmed their readiness to support Ukraine in the war against the Russian Federation, as much as it takes.